hot and techy Brezza, the Citybird SUV.
A day after celebrating his 32nd birthday, KL Rahul's had himself quite the party. Resplendent from Rahul, and it leads Lucknow to a resounding victory over Chennai Super Kings in Lucknow, seeing them draw level with the Super Kings on the points table. On Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout. We're in the company one final time this evening of Tom Moody, Mitch McClenaghan and Wasim Jaffer. That was quite easy for Lucknow. We didn't see that coming.
We certainly didn't see that coming. I think all three of us were looking at yellow at the halfway mark, but it was a very good run chase, very controlled at the top. Two very experienced players in Quinton de Kock and KL Rahul. And we did say in the pre-game discussion that, you know, that's been one of the issues for Lucknow, is that they have been inconsistent as a top order, but you couldn't ask for more consistency with regards to how they went about their run chase. It was just so controlled. KL Rahul was, showed us again the class that he has. Quinton de Kock is an interesting innings because you can nearly see him trying to find form. And I think at the end of that innings, he had sort of recaptured a bit of rhythm to his game. So look out for the games ahead.
We kept wondering how Lucknow battled the problem of their underperforming number 3. That's one way to tackle it. Don't let the number 3 come out top.
I mean, if you've got 134 run opening partnership, then it more or less solves it. And that's exactly what we talked. If those two guys come in form, then the problem doesn't look like a problem. So, I mean, even if it was 190 or even 200, they would have chased it. So, those two quality batters playing like that solves a lot of problems.
What was nice about it was the intent that they'd showed right from the outset, and that's what Klusner had spoken about, that's what JL had spoken about, that's what KL spoke about after the defeat to KKR, that they needed to find a way to bat with intent and get to scores of 180, 200. So it was great to see all the chat that they've had on before this game actually be put into action.
And as we pick up this conversation and continue to dissect this result, we also invite you to throw in your questions and comments in the comments section. We will take those questions across to the panel here later on the show, so be sure to throw them in. Let's start with KL Rahul. We've seen a visible difference in his approach in the power play, especially if you look at the last 3 games. He'd taken his time in the first 4 games, but in the last 3 games, a clear difference of approach. What do you put that down to?
Probably opportunity of scoring options. The bowling had given him width, given him length to be able to take advantage of at times. As a pure batter, which KL Rahul is, you tend to be programmed to pay a lot of respect to good length and good deliveries, more than other players that have that more, I suppose, not reckless, but more sort of free-spirited approach. In the power play, where KL's a little bit more subdued and reserved when it comes to that, but he has had some scoring opportunities. And I think also it's form. He's coming into some good form now, so he's turning, good balls into scoring opportunities. And the bowler then feels the pressure, knowing that if they're slightly off, he's going to cash in.
When he bats this way, you get why there's always so much chatter around KL Rahul, because everyone knows how high the ceiling is. And when he bats this way, you get to see it.
He has the game, but sometimes he does go into that little bit of defensive approach, but he can put that 4th or 5th gear when he wants to, and today he showed that. And Quinton de Kock was opposite. I think at the start of the tournament, de Kock looked like trying to be too aggressive. Something in similar lines, I think Yashasvi Jaiswal also is batting in that manner, but I thought Quinton de Kock pulled back and had a bit of time and then played the shots that he generally plays, which we have seen before, and then obviously started playing like Quinton de Kock, we know. So that was important for KL Rahul to push the accelerator a little bit and de Kock to find form. And if those two guys play like that, then LSG is dangerous side, and we talked about Nicholas Pooran coming at number 3, which he did.
Yeah, we must also identify the fact that they've gone away from their blueprint of batting first and trying to defend the total, and when you're out of form or your team's not able to find the right tempo to post a score, It's always good to be able to chase and know what target you have. And I think the way they came out in the power play tonight showed that they thought the wicket was going to play similar to how it played in the first innings, and that they needed to capitalise on the power play. So I think that's why we saw the significant amount of intent from KL Rahul at the top.
Chennai's bowling, could they have done anything differently when the openers were getting away the way they were?
No, I don't think they could have. They looked like they lacked penetration tonight. Whether that was the surface that was not offering the spin that they thought it might have offered, or the swing early on. But, I noted that 3 of their bowlers went over 10s. Deshpande, Mustafizur Rahman and Jadeja, all 3 you wouldn't expect to be going over 10 and over. So that's an unexpected situation for them, and they had their strongest bowling attack out today because both Patarana was available, Mustafizur was available, so that is their first choice bowling attack, but it lacked penetration.
And that left-hand, right-hand combination also. Jadeja is somebody they fall back on, and then de Kock didn't allow him to bowl. So they couldn't get hold of the game like they generally do.
Was there a marked difference in conditions when you assessed the 2 innings and how easy or not it was to bat?
Yeah, look, the first innings definitely looked like it stuck in the wicket a little bit more than it did in the second innings. And we have seen games in the past at Lucknow where there has been a bit of dew and it has enabled that wicket just to skid on a little bit more. Was it enough to impact the result? I don't know if it had as much effect as probably the scoreline suggests. I think KL Rahul just batted out of his skin.
So now when we revisit the first innings, especially the middle part, the 10 middle overs for Chennai yielded 62 runs with a long passage without boundaries. Did they leave some runs there?
Possibly. That's something they will look at closely, but they were under pressure at that point and they had to reset. And I think they, in a way, caught up for that sort of period by, MS Dhoni doing what MS Dhoni does at the back end of the innings, sort of, scoring probably 10 or 15 more runs than you'd expect them to score in those last 2 overs. But, the way I look at it is, they possibly could have been 10, 15 short of where they could have been, but I think they just, I think it's one of these days you need to take your hat off to the opposition and say, you've played better than us, you bowled better than us, you fielded better than us, and you clearly batted a lot better than us. And you may have had a slight advantage with batting second with the conditions as it unfolded.
Right, lots of questions pouring in on the comments. Keep them coming. Some of them centered around CSK not bowling Moeen Ali enough. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's just the fact that when you've got a bowler who's an option bowler, you use them and you still probably just see them as an option bowler. You always want to go back to your main 5 bowlers, and generally that's what captains do. They back their main 5 bowlers and then use the option bowler as exactly that, an option. And it takes some courage to say, well, actually my option bowler today is actually going to be one of my mainstays. And so potentially they missed a trick on using Moeen Ali a little bit more. I mean, his first over he got some perches, he challenged the outside edge and looked challenging.
Wasim, surprise. T20 World Cup selection questions coming in heaps. In the comments, Megastar Rocky asks, is that a knock from KL that pushes him closer to the T20 World Cup squad?
If he bats like that, yes, why not? But then he's not going to be opening, that's for sure. He'll be batting in the middle order, and to have that kind of intent is very, very important. And if he bats like that, and he definitely can, there's no doubt about it.
This is interesting from Mohammad Masfian Mridha. Says a question for Tom. Mitch, you could weigh in too. In the IPL this season, we have not seen quality swing bowling in the power play. What do you think is the reason behind that?
I think the pitches they're playing on and the Kookaburra ball, the 2 reasons we're not seeing the swing. There's quality swing bowlers that are playing in the IPL. One played today in Deepak Chahar. He has historically swung the ball around corners and done it very, very well. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar is another one for Sunrisers. We've seen a little bit of swing up in Punjab where, we've seen Rabada and Ashdeep swing it for a short period of time. But I think the White Kookaburra ball, and I think this is not just this year, I think over the last few years we've seen a decrease in movement in those first, let's say, 4 overs.
Yeah, and it comes down to the surface as well. So you heard Aaron Finch at the toss say that the surface was a little bit drier than the previous surfaces. And so if there's no moisture in the surface, then the ball's not going to swing as much. It comes down to the amount, it's all physics, isn't it? The amount of, if any moisture is drawing up, then it's harder for the ball to go through the air. So that seam makes a bit more of a rudder and can swing more.
King UB asks, your thoughts on Ruturaj Gaikwad and his captaincy. Also, was Rizvi as the impact player needed?
I think Ruturaj hasn't done badly, to be honest, as a captain. But what they lack is the intent in the middle, which is an issue, especially batting first, I feel. If Dubey doesn't fire, then they definitely have an issue. We've seen that. Ruturaj's own form, again, he's got runs in the last couple of games, but again, there are only 2 or 3 guys who are performing when CSK wins. So they need to sort that out. You know, it's Dubey, Ruturaj, and then MS doing in the end. Samir Rizvi, I would say, I don't think I would have gone that way. He's far too inexperienced guy to be coming in and doing what you expect him to do.
All right. Lots of questions still coming in, but we'll have to hold it here for now. But be sure, keep sending them in and keep sending them in on our social handles as well, and we'll be sure to take it forward to the panel. For the time being, it's time to move to our quickfire review of Lucknow's win over Chennai Super Kings. Let's start with you, Wasim. Rate KL Rahul's innings out of 10.
I would say 9.5. Only thing he could have done is stayed not out and won the game for the team. Otherwise, I think he's done absolutely perfectly. Played with intent and played some beautiful shots and exactly what his team needed him to do as a captain and show that how it needs to be done.
To you, Tom, does this knock from Rahul show the high ceiling that everyone on the outside yearns to see more often?
Yeah, well, certainly is. But at the end of the day, he only struck at 150. It's not like he struck at 250. You know, so yes, he did play exceptionally well. But, you know, there's too much, for mine, there's too much talk around KL Rahul's strike rate. There's plenty of others that have a similar strike rate and there's little discussion.
Fair enough. Mitch, why did Chennai struggle on this surface while Lucknow found it that much easier?
Yeah, without being at the ground, you can only assume that the ball started to get a little bit wet, as we know it can do in Lucknow, and maybe just made it a little bit harder for the ball to stick in the surface and get that grab off the surface that we saw in the first innings.
Wasim, did Chennai leave the hitting for too late?
I think so. I think they only got the momentum in the 18th over of Bishnoi. I think if that over hadn't come, they would have probably not got even that score. So, yeah, I think they've left it too late.
Mitch, Moeen Ali bowled just the 1 over, went for 5 runs. Did CSK miss a trick by not using him more?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, if you look at it in hindsight, he had 1 over go for 5, and he did look like a threat. But when you pick 5 bowlers, you expect your 5 bowlers to do the job, and you use the guys you have as options as exactly that, as options, and then go back to your main 5 bowlers.
And finally to you, Tom, do you expect to see Moeen Ali more often ahead of Daryl Mitchell now?
I think given the way CSK go about their business around selection and stability around the team, I think that we will see more of Moeen Ali. He's shown enough tonight that he can certainly have an impact both with bat and ball, and he'll get a number of games, I'm sure, going ahead.
All right. That does it on the quickfire review from Lucknow versus Chennai. Thank you, gentlemen, for your thoughts. It's now time for the contest between all of us. Let's head into the impact zone. Wasim Jaffer, you were waiting for a win. Take it away.
There it was.
It's been a while. It's been a while. And nice to be having that cup on my side.
Mitch, is it just Tom?
The problem is that Ronak's not here, and when Ronak's here, he has FOMO, so he wants to get involved, and that means that he always comes last. So then we don't look bad finishing on the bottom of the table. So that's all I'll say.
Are you suggesting the next time I should?
You should definitely get
I was
involved.
going to say, why are you saying we?
Oh, okay, Tom.
Can I see that again, Nicky?
Wasim wants to take a photo.
That's nice. 156. That's really good.
Yeah, that's a big
Really
number
happy.
there.
That's a totally opposite, Mitch, from what you had yesterday.
Wasim.
It is, mate. It is. Look, hey, we didn't know that Dubé was going to have a shocker, did we? I should have figured out that Henry wasn't going to score well, and then Bishnoi. Yeah, I must say, I was a bit flustered today.
It's this seat.
Do you reckon it's the seat? I was just a bit flustered because Tom comes back and he picks my picks, and then you're getting far better at this competition. So now it's it's all there. It's really competitive now. So you can't slip up, and I definitely slipped up with the Henry pick.
I reckon I'm going to do a bit of a smart stats deep dive of my own, of your performances when you sit there compared to when you sit
Please
there.
do, because we can always move the chairs. Tom's happy with that.
I think Tom will oblige. We also had outrageous predictions. Did anyone land their picks? Yes. Wasim Jaffer landed one. He said Shivam Dubé will score less than 12, and that happened. Not happened quite often this season. Wasim, 50 of 37. Rahul got them much faster, so that can't be given. And Chennai didn't end up getting
Confident
the
in your man, mate. You should have been confident in it. What was it, 30 balls?
I was. I told you guys he'll get 50. Obviously, the balls were 6 balls lesser.
Yeah.
Could have been better.
Yeah. But you get the 5 points for Dubé.
Yeah.
And that does it. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time and your company through this evening. That's Lucknow versus Chennai done. A win that is so essential for Lucknow. It's we're approaching the halfway stage of this competition, and on the points table, that will mean that they are level with Chennai Super Kings. Match number 35 tomorrow sees Delhi Capitals take on Sunrisers Hyderabad. Imagine a win there, and it really begins to heat up from 2 to all the way down to 8.
Yeah, it opens up the table, doesn't it? It really does. You know, Hyderabad would stay on 8, Delhi goes to 8, and then we've got the big match the next day of KKR versus RCB. So if KKR didn't get up over RCB, which at this stage doesn't look overly likely, then we'd have 7 teams on 8 points. So this is the stage of the season where it starts getting exciting.
Thoughts?
But it's the stage of the season I don't even look at the table, to be honest with you. With my coach's hat on, it's the last thing I look at because it's not a controllable. And once you start looking at where you could be or where other people could be, it's a very, very deep dive. And it's a hard hole to come out of.
I think that's why it's so much easier to be on this side, because we can watch and enjoy it and see what's happening and figure some permutations and combinations. But it sets us up quite nicely for a weekend where all the games will have so much riding on them. These fine gentlemen will continue to be with us. You be sure to join us. Delhi versus Hyderabad is the game, the first game in Firozshah Kotla. This IPL build-up will start just before toss time on Maruti Suzuki Arena, presents ESPN Cricinfo Timeout. In the meantime, if you haven't already, go ahead and download the ESPN Cricinfo mobile app. It will have you covered with all the thoughts from all the players and captains after Lucknow's win against Chennai. For both these sides, they face each other again in 5 days' time, this time in Chennai. But that's all from us for tonight. Thank you so much for being with us.
All new hot and techy Brezza, the city